Greetings from the NBEX. Good things grow here. Here's our very own Nick Story.
Howdy, everybody. Welcome to the NBEX podcast. I'm your host, Nick Story. Throwing the mic around here. And co-host today, Rae Tretiak, Executive Director here at NBEX. And we're here at the exhibition grounds here in Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. And we're... I like to tell you this every show that we run on the organization, the number 34 Agriculture Society, which we meet our meetings in with our board members and stuff. And NBEX is our broadcast, or is our branding broadcast. We're doing a broadcast at NBEX, but our branding name. And as people can see out front, we brought the Frex back.
We brought the Frex back.
We want to show people that.
It's coming up in September. Exciting.
So everybody calls the exhibition grounds. Everybody says you want to meet at the exhibition grounds. Like, it seems to be a center place for people to meet. Everybody knows where it is.
Right.
And also everybody still, even though it changed over to the New Brunswick Provincial Exhibition, people still call it the Frex. So we all thought it would be a good idea to bring the name back, Frex.
That's right. Made sense to me. That's what I called it growing up as a kid. It was the Frex. I always knew it as the Frex.
So
it was going down to the Frex.
A little bit of information we want to give to the folks, but we have a little bit of other information we want to talk about, like our organization and things that have been going on here. A lot of people have been wondering what's happening with the exhibition grounds and everything. So we're going to have a little chat here today just to get people up on what's been going on, and our members, of course, for our organization, the number 34 Agriculture Society, and just talk a little bit about what's going on.
Yeah, and it's first, thanks for having me. This is good. It's been a little bit of time since we talked.
You've been a busy boy.
Yeah, a little bit. It's all good. Specifically about the expropriation and everything that's gone on with the city of Fredericton, and what the implications of some of the meetings that City Hall have had over the last few months. So for those who may not be completely up to speed, I'll give you the elevator version. Essentially, an expropriation file was put on the entire 30-acre parcel of land to be taken over and fully owned by the city of Fredericton. And then at that point, a redevelopment plan would take place to see what would happen with the grounds. Now, that it's been quite some time. This whole thing started years ago, even before my time. But most recently, and when I say most recently, I'm talking at least the last 10 months, maybe 12.
We're talking started back in 1948.
Yeah, and I'm not
during the war times.
Yeah,
and when the land was put in trust at that time.
Right, and without getting all into that, to keep it semi easy to follow, I mean, you could speak about this for weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, there's documentation and meeting minutes and city meeting minutes about this stuff.
Yeah.
But for the general purposes of trying to create a storyline and a storyboard, up until the last year, there have been deals that were made that didn't come through. There were proposals in place from different municipal groups that looked like they were going to happen, then they didn't. And most recently, which I can only speak to, the expropriation file was put on the table. It was carried forward back in February. We met, I believe it was down at the convention center, and went in front of the expropriation officer.
Yep.
Both our sides got to tell our story and give their argument, and then he had a predisposed amount of time as an auditor to create a file. And then that file comes back to both legal councils, both ours and the city's, and reviewed with a recommendation. The officer was very clear to state during that day what he could and could not do, what he was there to do and what he was not there to do.
Exactly.
For example, one of the things that he would do is he would come back with a suggestion and a recommendation on, based on why the land was being expropriated, if it should be and why, or if it should not be and why, which was a good example of what he could do. What he could not do was decide on a financial number of the value of the land.
Right.
That's not something that he that was part of that process. That's another process outside of that. So that all happened. If we're looking back since there was snow on the ground, that has all taken place, and that file was completed. File was sent in to us, and then just because a file comes back and says, yes, you can expropriate or no, you cannot, doesn't mean that that's the course of action. The requesting body still needs to put a motion out there, right?
Right.
I think, and that's sort of what led us to, I've dubbed it the Mother's Day council meeting. That if you fast forward from that, there was a bunch of back and forth.
Yeah.
And then this meeting,
because we had a
council
joint
happen.
meeting, like a joint,
The JDA, the joint decision. Yeah. And that's another one that was an attempt at groups working together to figure out a plan. And it's met a few times from what I understand. And then again, it's disappeared over the last year and a half. But all of it to say is this, the process and the legal timelines and frameworks that both our side and the city have to adhere to, they've been happening in the forefront. But what a lot of people may not know is in the background, we've continued negotiations with the city to come to a resolution together without all of the stuff that's happening in the forefront.
Right.
You've sort of got this framework of, okay, if we're going to go down the road of expropriation and legal dues and et cetera, these are the timelines and the process you have to follow. But in the meantime, feel free to negotiate back and forth and have conversations and try to gather some constructive data between the two individual parties to try to solve it.
Yeah, we want to make it work for both parties. You know, we want to work together. I know a lot of media doesn't like to put that out there, that we like to work together, but yeah, we're trying. You know, we want the best for, you know, both, and for the people of Fredericton, and my thoughts are we got to keep this place alive for the people, you know, in some form, to have that get together place.
Well, that's the common thread, right?
Yep, that's the common thread right now. Yeah.
You look at what we've done over the last 199 years, and the provincial exhibition as a space has been a safe place for people to come together and celebrate or educate themselves around the latest and greatest agricultural pursuits, to gather information or to come together and celebrate a significant world event or community event where people find support and compassion in being together. You've got to remember, back when AG 34 and NBEX were created,
Right.
There was no phone.
Nope.
There was no, let alone the internet and social media and news channels at the click of a button.
Podcast, no
There was no
videos.
podcast. There was no, at the very, very beginning, there was no automobile. It was come in on horse and buggy. So the grounds were very sacred and very important to that education proponent of life. Come in and learn the best practices around.
And the agriculture, your food, it comes from somewhere.
Everything.
It comes from the farmers, comes from the ground. So that's why we have the provincial exhibition, Frex.
Well, where would any of us be without a farmer?
I know, that's, yeah,
Right?
like they're trying to, people are kind of forgetting, but keeping this organization going and stuff, we'll keep reminding them where your food actually comes from. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, above and beyond that, just regardless, remove our organization from the conversation. If any of us didn't have farmers,
Exactly.
and route to market and fresh food and local food or food in general, like we're duped, folks. Like,
Where would we be? Yeah, exactly.
It's a spicy component to life, right? And since the dawn of time, since before Canada was founded as a country, our organization has been here as a mainstay for our community. And we continue to do that today. It just looks different.
Exactly. We're older than what Canada.
Right?
Canada, I don't know the exact number, but I remember when they had their 150th anniversary, which wasn't that long
That's
ago.
right.
And we're going to be 200 years old next year.
Yeah,
Our
2027
organization,
is a
the
big
number
year.
30 for Agriculture Society. So,
It is.
yeah.
It's a massive year. And if you look at, contributions to society, to our community, to the local people and beyond about what this space has been able to do. We were there as a safe mechanism placed throughout some world wars that happened. Without getting too bogged down through historical events, fast forward to one of the most recent ones that people can connect with, which was COVID.
Yep.
We were actually very active as a provincial house for COVID during that time. Our facility was active during that. Our barns are a provincial safe spot from natural disasters.
Yep. For bring in animals and
Right.
anything that happens. Yeah. Like flooding and anything, like it's an emergency place to bring them to. So.
Right. So there's that cultural and that historical connection through time, through relevance and through what we do there. But there's also all of the other stuff that we do. We are not for profit. Everything that we do, we generate those funds, we support agricultural pursuits and other like-minded organizations throughout the province, our vets, our kids, the 4-H. The 4-H are a huge component of who we are and what we do. If we aren't able to provide a platform and a stage and a showcase for youth coming up through, then that's another piece of the puzzle that has to be solved.
And
elsewhere.
us being the capital of New Brunswick and we're centralized, it's nice to see, like the last couple 4-H shows we had here, it was big.
Massive.
Big. And to have the kids involved in agriculture like that, it's just amazing. And we need farmers. We need to keep it going. We need to keep people interested. And so 4-H is a big part of that. So
yeah, it's almost like the gateway for a lot of folks, right? And a lot of people have ties back to 4-H.
Yep.
And that is a foundation of education and roots and efficacy and work ethic.
Exactly.
It starts somewhere.
And working with the animal teaches kids a lot of respect.
Absolutely.
You build that respect between the animal and that trust. So it builds up their character to be a great citizen one day. So
So not just a Ferris wheel in the parking lot.
It's not just a Midway, folks.
There's a whole
Although
bunch.
there is new rides coming with the Midway, but
We're going to save that combo for the Frex, right?
yeah, we'll save that for the Frex.
I don't want to give away all the secrets.
No,
that way
But,
I'm stealing thunder from Charlotte.
Yeah.
You're having Charlotte, or is Charlotte coming in?
She'll be coming in. Yeah, there'll be a show coming
Nice.
up with Charlotte as well. So yeah,
Well, I know the committee.
our events coordinator.
Yes, I know our committee. Charlotte is on that Frex committee, has been hard at work producing this year's show. And again, I don't want to get too much
into it, but
I'm excited.
everybody works hard behind the scenes, and
They do.
And
They do.
people out there really doesn't know what goes on behind the scenes. But this is why we had this show with you today, Ray, just to fill people in, give them a little information now that we can give a little bit more out, because people don't hear it all in the media. So this is our podcast with our organization. Yeah. So we can give the members and the people a little bit more insight to what's going on right now. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that's going on that we agreed with from the start with the province is a new school being built on the property.
Right. So not that expropriation is an easy path to follow in itself, but let's throw a municipal election in on top of all that.
I know.
So all of a sudden now you have new faces at the table. You have new leadership around the board. We have
a really good leadership around the board now.
You know what? It's you talk about you talk about the school, and you talk about like-minded thought processes and whatnot. Trying to navigate all of this and come out to some sort of successful conclusion. We now have pretty much a whole new roster representing our city and there to make the tough decisions and the smart decisions in what's right for the people. And there is now new faces around that table. There's a new mayor, as we all know, and staff are supporting and working together as well from that
and
perspective.
we want it to work together with the province, because the province can actually come in if they need the land, they can expropriate it regardless. And throughout our meetings, the only thing we asked for from the province with the new school, there was one thing we asked for: have an agricultural program in your school.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Make it lock in, so if another government comes in, they can't take it away.
Yeah.
Have an agriculture program.
Yeah.
And we could have so many different satellite programs off of this property through the colleges for veterinarians or any of the agriculture schooling and stuff right through. So there's so much that we can have with this organization and this property to do with agriculture. And it all starts with the education. So if we could have an agricultural program in there, which the government was kind of excited about, the agriculture minister was excited about it, then that's a good start to work together. And I know we have a good relationship with the city right now with the new electees and stuff. And congratulations to our new mayor, Stephen Hicks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great guy to work with, and hoping that the future is going to be brighter. I know there's some things we're working on. We probably can't say a whole lot, but there is.
Let's drill down on something that you hit on there, and that was the school piece and having agriculture right here in satellite. So let's go even granular. Let's break it down to the ridiculous. If you were to tell me, if I was an educator or in charge of a large occupant school, 900 students, for example, or whatever, 700, 500, whatever the number is. If you were to tell me that I have a live touch, feel, experience learning opportunity 600 meters away from the front door of that school, I would be jumping for joy because of the opportunity that opens up for the kids. The kids would then have an opportunity to walk across a soccer field and enter the province's, one of the province's main agricultural exhibition spaces for hands-on learning. And the programming and the support and the resources that we could supply and work together with the school board and with the school staff at the new school on, that is just the tip of the iceberg of some of the really neat stuff that comes from a successful conclusion of all three groups around the table working together.
Can you imagine seeing the school have an agricultural program and the students having raised gardens in the back? And because they talk about more green energy and green, well, that's what plants and trees are all about, is taking the carbon out of the air and cleaning up our environment, like our atmosphere and our air and everything. So why wouldn't they?
You just think about it. Just think about it from the kids' perspective.
Yeah.
We could look at it and watch it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Or we could look at it and read it in a book or have somebody read it to us. Or we could put our shoes on, grab our hat, grab our coat, take a 10-minute walk over to a barn, have some hands-on learning, and then walk back over and be back in time for lunch break. You know, that to me is, if you're looking at a 10-year strategy plan or an opportunities map or a roadmap for how we could all work together around the table, that one sticks out to me. And that's why I get excited when people start talking about the school back where the horse track still is at this point in time, and the actions that are taken there. It's sad to see a key piece go. We can never forget, what that horse track and all of the groups and all of the individuals that have made that what it is over the years. That is a significant piece of Fredericton's history, the province's history, our history, and individuals' history. There's third and fourth year generation. Yeah,
because the racetrack used to be over on York Street, and it used to be a lot bigger track, and it moved over to here. And unfortunately, in New Brunswick, it doesn't seem to be as popular anymore. it's great in PEI. There's a lot of people interested, but they went together with the lottery over there, and that's what makes theirs a lot more. In Ontario as well, too, there's more people. But
Right.
unfortunately, a lot of the tracks, the only track that's harness racing in New Brunswick right now is Woodstock.
Yeah.
And they're having to take the horses to Maine or Quebec,
Right.
or, PEI to Charlottetown or Summerside to race. There was a track in Truro. I'm not even certain that they're doing much of that track this year, but
Well, have you ever-
unfortunately it's dying. So
have you ever attended a race at a track and bet on some races and
used
stuff
to do
like
it right
that?
here at this track.
Yeah,
here.
so
on Thursday nights, this track used to be full. The
Yeah.
grandstands used to be, full. The
Yeah.
people here, payday, betting on the horses, and it used to be big at one time.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunate in time, some things start fading away.
Well,
and, and we're looking for new.
It's got something to do with geography as well, because if you take this, I know that right outside of Toronto, there's a place, Woodbine, they still have horse races, and I'm sure it's still popular.
Yeah.
You mentioned Charlottetown. Charlottetown, the pony races are still very popular from what I understand. Have I been there recently? No, but I do know that stuff still exists and still happens. To me, it comes down to the management and the advancement of a brand or an organization or a group. No matter if that group is a volunteer-driven group, no matter if that group is a not-for-profit or an incorporated company. An incorporated company can die out just as fast as a not-for-profit or a volunteer group if the foresight to look at the future and what the opportunities on the horizon are.
Yes.
If you don't take the opportunity to grasp at that and try, listen to the market, listen to what people are telling you, then that really will stifle the end result over a period of time. It doesn't happen overnight. It's like death by 1,000 paper cuts. But to have, if I go back to, I'm looking at the future and the opportunity with the school, for example, to just ignore it, move forward and just, okay, it's going to exist in our own backyard. If that was the mindset, then we've just shut off an entire well of opportunity for both sides.
We can remember the past. We can smile at the past. We can have the history of the past, but we have to adapt to the future. And we have to adapt with it because and I say, the membership, the committees, the board members, yourself as executive director, we want to see the future. We want to still be here in some sort, our organization, because we're going to be 200 years old next year. That's a long time for an organization, a not-for-profit organization.
Right.
So we have to look to the future and we have to work together.
You do that by using your past as your foundation.
Right.
Our past has built a strong foundation all the way around.
Right.
Horse racing, cattle, shows,
the draft horses,
pulls, draft
the
horse,
beef, the dairy,
4-H, whatever it is, that has built a solid foundation for not only to speak to the legitimacy of the brand and of the organization, but also to reinstate the developments and the modifications that have happened over the time. We have not operated in the exact same format over the last 200 years.
No.
Don't kid yourself, right? This is our third major site and building. What we do now on a daily operating business, I can guarantee you looks completely different than it did in 1947. And in 1947, it looked completely different than it did in 1901. And I can go right down the rabbit hole. And that's the key, though.
They always say too, like you always hear, and we've heard the lawyers talk about it, like on the other side at the expropriation hearing. There's only a few agriculture programs there. Yeah, but we're a not-for-profit. We have to have these other events to raise money to have that big provincial exhibition.
Yeah, the good old social enterprise side.
Yeah.
I mean, there's what we do, and what we do, we put a lot of resources and funding behind to support the 4-H show. Again, for example, the Frex, that isn't a cheap show to put on. Yeah. We do at the end of the day set a budget and work toward it, but it is always a position where the revenue that comes in from the show. If it covers the show, great. If it doesn't, if we're break even, that's fine. We're even okay if it doesn't break even because of the fact of why we exist.
Yeah.
And again, it's that promotional support and education of agriculture and teaching individuals and giving that industry an opportunity to come in and have a space. Right.
That's called live
live
podcasting,
TV.
live.
You got to do what you
TV,
got to
live
do.
radio.
Yeah. So we're preparing for the Frex. That's a year-long endeavor on a group of people. Ribfest is another solid example of a social enterprise event that allows us to create the revenue to then support our existence.
Agriculture and our existence, yes.
All of the shows that we do here, the RV show, Savages Bike Show, those are community outreach.
And that's a place for them to be able to have these shows and
course.
stuff. There's not many places in this city for Savages or RV or the home show, the Christmas craft show, which was big last year. Like to have these events in this city. This is a place so I think a lot of people are seeing that, and we have to, of course, thank the people, the residents here, and it's not
beyond.
just the residents of the city of Fredericton, but there's so many on the outskirts that come and support this organization and this place as well.
Well, and take away the location.
Yeah.
Take away the whole location and break it down to the event itself. As human beings, we thrive and we look for things to do virtually. We look for things to do in person. We look for things to do abroad. Raise your hand if you've ever planned an all-inclusive trip down south in March. Right? It's natural for us to seek out fun stuff to do.
Right.
And regardless of the argument of where these events can be housed, I go back to the core of we need to do things in our community, in our own backyard, not only just to stimulate our economy and support our local businesses, hashtag local supporting local. Everyone
because
loves
any
to say.
big events that go on these grounds, it blossoms out to all the others, the restaurants, hotels, everything in the city.
Not only that, but it keeps
Revenue for-
our people and our resources here.
Yeah, instead of having to go to other cities throughout the province or in other provinces,
Bingo.
keep them here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Why, if we are perfectly capable of hosting and doing something, call it XYZ event here in Fredericton, and the masses come out and participate and they spend their hard-earned dollars to participate with vendors from our city, with businesses from our city, and it keeps that resource locally versus they go to a neighboring city or a neighboring province and they spend their hard-earned resources there. That that hits me the most about that is, let's call it a carload of people going to a neighboring city and they spend $1,000 between the four of them. That $1,000 is for the weekend at a whatever. It doesn't matter what it is.
Right.
The point is that $1,000 is now no longer ever coming back to our community. That is gone. That resource, it's gone.
Yeah.
And the more we can create, the more that we can do, the more that we can stimulate our local community through social enterprise events like Ribfest, like the Frex, like the Tattoo Festival. I could go on, the art sale, the bike show, the RV. There's too many to name. We allow that platform. We allow that space so that those resources stay in our city. That benefits everybody.
It's very important to keep this space.
Bingo. When that space, when that opportunity no longer exists, it's not like people are just going to do less.
It's not like there's not any other spaces to have housing, because housing is important as well. But it's not like there isn't any, and there's lots of extra, and their housing market has dropped now. So there's no hurry.
That's a whole other.
Yeah, there's no hurry.
Piece to the puzzle, right?
But this is a piece that we need here for the people to get shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah. What gets me fired up is the fact that I'm a supporter of our city.
Yeah.
I live in our city.
Yeah.
I have kids in the city. I have grandkids in the city. My family are in and around the city. And I love this city.
Right.
I want to see it thrive.
That's
I want to
why
see
I
it do
moved here
good.
years ago.
Right. And I've got no problem with other cities. I've lived in other cities all across Canada. And I quite enjoy those cities. But the one thing that they have in common is they do a really good job of keeping people in their city. They keep activity in their city so that it stimulates their own economy. And there's nothing that guts me more than seeing a carload of my friends or family having to go somewhere and participate in something that we could have right here in our own backyard.
So any final thoughts on, or any final for the people out there to, where we're at or whatever?
I kind of got fired up there because it's a thing that's
important.
That's important, and it's the fabric of our community is created by those that are in it. Right. And every time we lose that opportunity, kudos to the other cities that are picking it up because they're the ones benefiting. And you can't blame people for wanting to go elsewhere and do other things because that is also something. I love technology. That is also something that, hey, look, it is what it is, and it gives people something to do. So you can't fault the people for wanting to do stuff.
Right.
We just want to make sure we are giving it our hard work, our honest kick at the can to allow for a fun, safe experience when they're here on the grounds. That's my goal. So I guess in wrapping up, we continue where we are with the negotiation side with the city. Both sides of the tables chatting and working very well together. And both sides, I think, want the same thing outcome. Right. It's just how we get there. And we do have a process and we do have some policies to follow. So as things evolve, there will be obviously news about them. But in the meantime, we stay steadfast to our opportunity. But most importantly, we listen to one another. That is the trick right there. Each group around the table listening and understanding to one another, and then trying to format a plan where everybody around the table wins.
And now we have the platform as things come up. We can actually put little podcasts on and let people know what's going on.
Which we will. We'll continue this conversation for sure because it's not over.
No.
There's still a lot of work to be done. There's been some progress. There's been some.
It's more positive now.
Yeah. Well, I think the one thing I've noticed is there's been some give and take on both sides. We've given up some that we weren't necessarily sure we wanted to do.
Right.
And the same with the city. The city has also done the same. The province as well. So again, all parties involved having that open dialogue, I think is where I want to continue to focus. In the meantime, we let everybody know where we are and what's happening so that we can continue to do the Frex and bring it back because next year is year 200. And again, I'm not going to
we can't push that enough. That's 200 years.
200 years. And with a large number like 200, the activity and the opportunity to participate will reciprocate and relate to that number. I'll just leave it at that. How about that?
So that being said, we're looking forward to, we have the sign up here. We're looking forward to having Charlotte on, our events coordinator, on the show to talk about the Frex coming up. And we'll have that show in a couple of weeks. We'll have it posted online and everything.
That's right.
But just want to thank everybody out there for the support of the NBEX and support over the years for the Frex, of course, and for the organization. And we're working together to have an event space for everybody here on these grounds and keep a part of these grounds for the people of Fredericton and surrounding areas to have a place to go, to be shoulder to shoulder and have fun.
That's right.
So on that note, thank you all for listening in.
Thank you.
And have a great day. See you next time.
Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Lots of great guests to come. Good things grow.